She returned his lost keychain without asking for anything. She didn't know he was a single dad CEO millionaire. The New York winter was especially harsh that year. Icy winds blew down Fifth Avenue, cutting through coats and scarves like knives. Amid the bustling crowd, Emma clutched her thrift store jacket tighter and quickened her pace. Her shift at the bookstore had ended late again, and the subway was already packed with tired faces and quiet desperation. As she turned the corner near Central Park, something shiny caught her eye. A small, worn leather keychain lay on the sidewalk, nearly buried under slushy snow. It was shaped like a tiny pair of cowboy boots, with initials carved into the side, JC. Curious, Emma picked it up. It wasn't just keys. Attached was a tiny picture of a young girl, probably no older than 8. Her eyes sparkled with mischief, and the photo looked well-loved, like it had been carried for years. Emma stood still for a moment. Most people would have just passed by, assuming it was trash or someone else's problem. But something about the picture tugged at her heart. She knew what it was like to lose something precious. After her mother died, all Emma had left was a locket, and when that was stolen during a subway ride last year, she cried for days. She turned the keychain over and found a small metal tag engraved with an address, J. Carter, 300, Madison Avenue, 15th floor. Without hesitation, Emma rerouted her walk and made her way across town. The cold bit at her cheeks, and her shoes soaked through, but she didn't care. Someone somewhere was probably panicking over this lost item, especially if it belonged to the man in the photo with the little girl, perhaps a father. Maybe the only thing he had left of her. The lobby at 300 Madison Avenue was a gleaming tower of luxury, tall glass walls, marble floors, and a doorman who looked like he hadn't blinked in hours. Emma suddenly felt out of place, her old coat and worn sneakers standing in sharp contrast to the polished businesspeople walking by. The doorman raised an eyebrow. "Can I help you?" She hesitated. "I found this on the sidewalk." She held up the keychain. "It belongs to someone named J. Carter." The tag said this address. He blinked, slightly surprised. "Mr. Carter?" Emma shrugged. "I don't know who he is. I just wanted to return it." That little girl in the picture looked important. After a pause, the man picked up the phone and made a call. Moments later, a sharply dressed assistant descended in the elevator. "You found this where?" she asked, inspecting the keychain like it was made of gold. "Just near Central Park," Emma said. It looked important. The assistant gave her a long look. "Wait here." Emma shifted on her feet, debating whether to just leave. She didn't expect a reward, just wanted to do the right thing. Then, the elevator doors opened again. Out stepped a tall man in his mid-40s, wearing a charcoal gray suit that probably cost more than Emma's monthly rent. But it wasn't his appearance that struck her. It was the sadness in his eyes. He looked at the keychain in the assistant's hand and gasped, stepping forward like a man who'd just seen a ghost. "Where did you find this?" he asked, his voice low, almost trembling. Emma stepped forward. "Near the park. I saw the picture. I thought, maybe it meant something to you." The man stared at the photo on the keychain for a long moment. Then he looked at her, and for a brief second, his eyes filled with tears. "This was my daughter's," he said softly. "She gave it to me before she passed away, 3 years ago." Emma's breath caught. "I'm so sorry. I must have dropped it when I took out my gloves earlier. I didn't even realize. I carry it with me everywhere." He took a deep breath, trying to compose himself. "I'm James Carter, CEO of Carter Tech." Emma blinked. That name. She'd seen it in headlines. Carter Tech was worth billions, leading in AI, robotics, and green energy. This wasn't just any man, he was one of the most powerful tech moguls in the country. "Still," she said simply, "I'm just glad you got it back." James stared at her. "You didn't want anything?" No reward. She shook her head. Some things are just too personal to lose. I know how that feels. Emma turned to leave, but James stopped her. Please, have coffee with me. Just for 5 minutes. She hesitated. You don't have to thank me. I know, he said gently. But I want to. They walked to the cafe across the street. Emma sipped hot cocoa while James explained how he built his company from scratch while raising his daughter, Lily, alone. He showed her more photos, told stories about her mischievous sense of humor, how she loved drawing stars on his office whiteboard. She died from a rare heart condition, he said, voice cracking. I promised her I'd never forget her. That keychain, it's all I have left of her childhood. Emma's eyes welled with tears. She sounds amazing. James looked at her with newfound curiosity. What do you do? I work at a bookstore, she said with a shy smile. Saving up for community college. He leaned back, impressed. You walked blocks through snow just to return something to a stranger. That says a lot about you. Emma laughed nervously. Honestly, I almost left it with the doorman. But something told me it mattered. He nodded slowly. It did. They parted ways that night, but James didn't forget her. Over the next few days, he found himself thinking about Emma often. Her kindness. Her humility. The way she spoke about her late mother with quiet strength. A week later, Emma received a letter at the bookstore. It was on Carter Tech letterhead. Inside was a scholarship offer. Full tuition, books, and living expenses, for any college she wanted. Along with a note. Thank you for reminding me that good people still exist. Lily would have liked you. Tears streamed down her face as she clutched the letter. But that wasn't the end. James showed up at the bookstore one day, awkwardly holding a bag of pastries. I figured, maybe you could show me around your favorite book aisle. Emma laughed. Only if you promise not to drop anything this time. They became friends. Then more than friends. Slowly, over late-night talks, shared stories, and silent moments of healing, they built something unexpected. Not out of wealth or status, but from two broken hearts recognizing a familiar ache in the other. 2 years later, Emma stood on a stage, diploma in hand, as the crowd cheered. In the front row sat James, beaming, and beside him, an empty seat with Lily's cowboy boot keychain gently resting on it, swaying with the breeze. As the ceremony ended, James hugged her tightly. You changed my life, he whispered. Emma smiled through happy tears. No. You just reminded me to keep being me. The world often moves too fast to notice the small acts of kindness that keep it spinning. But sometimes, a simple gesture, a returned keychain, can open a door to healing, love, and second chances. And in the end, it's never about what we get in return. It's about who we become in the giving.